Joining us now is David Sharron. He's the head of archives and special collections at Brock University's James A. Gibson Library. When we think of what's happening right now, what's been happening for the last 3 weeks, we don't think of it on a historic basis and looking into the future and looking back on it so much, but that's really what your focus is in the archive.
A lot of the research that we've seen in the last few years, a lot of this idea sparked from what people did when they were researching the Spanish flu epidemic of 1918. They were coming into our archives, looking through our collections for records of that, global pandemic. And we were pulling things from a whole bunch of different collections with our fingers crossed that there'd be something in there. And when we thought about what's happening currently, we know there are going to be people who are going to be studying this and reporting on it in the future. So why not try to collect this all into one spot where future people who are interested can find it much more easy.
Over 100 years ago, the last pandemic like this hit Niagara. And what did you see as far as similarities between what was in your archives from back in 1918 to what is going on today?
I think it was a general, once they figured out what was the issues, the pitching in and majority of people following the rules and regulations that came around, just avoiding each other, trying to stop the spread. There was a lot of similarities, but even similarities with regards to rushing for supplies and a little bit of panic. I think it's we're seeing a lot of just human nature naturally crop up, and there are parallels certainly between it, but I feel much more secure in our medical science today, knowing what to do and what directions to go than 100 years ago. So I'm happy it's 2020.
David, I take it that the archive does have a definite Niagara focus, so it didn't look at the Spanish flu back then from a provincial or national perspective, but from a Niagara perspective. And that's the same as your plans for COVID-19 archive. Yes,
our collection mandate is to collect all things Niagara, whatever the topic, whatever the time period. So the nice thing is modern records are totally viable for this project. For any project or anything we accept into the archive. So to build it in time with the actual situation, that's what's making this a very unique thing. Usually archives get their materials years and years later when people are emptying their closets or their basements and find something that's interesting. So we're really being proactive in assembling this before people forget what the feeling was of being in this pandemic and of this time. So we're almost creating history as it happens.
You're making it very easy for the public to contribute to this archive. Can you explain how?
Sure. The website is there and available, and we put up some ideas on what people can contribute, but it's wide open. We accept people who want to just write a story about what they're experiencing or feelings. They can submit photographs, videos, or even audio recordings of just their daily routines, thoughts, reactions to the news. And there's a very simple submission page on the website. All we need is a title, maybe a brief description on what you're putting in there, and your permission to put it online. And if you want to add your name, that's great. But if you want to be anonymous with your submission, that's doable as well. So it's really filling in about 5 or 6 fields, uploading whatever you want to upload or typing in whatever you want to say. And then within minutes, it could be on the website permanently.
You're also collecting physical items related to COVID-19. How would that work out?
Yes, we think that's going to happen afterwards. We've gotten a couple emails about people who are just journaling their experience on a day-to-day basis. And some people just like to write rather than type. And those will be important parts of the collection as well. And those can be submitted probably when Brock University opens up and we're back to normal routines. But anytime someone wants to submit anything physical, we can do that through our normal processes in the archives.
We know that you have the archive featuring Spanish flu back in 1918. What are some of the other areas of focus that one might find in this archive relating to Niagara?
Yes, we go back hundreds of years. Our oldest book that deals with Niagara is a book from 1698 that shows the first image of Niagara Falls ever printed, which is really amazing. But we go all the way up to the present. Tourism, everyone's been coming to Niagara Falls for centuries, so a lot of tourism books on the Niagara Falls area. But we also do grape and wine industry and other businesses around here. The Welland Canal is a big subject, War of 1812. But we're interested in everything. We get a lot of organizations when they get a mass amount of records and they need somewhere to put it. Brock can be a place for that. So we have things like the Bruce Trail Association, the Women's Literary Club, social groups like that. They've donated their materials. If anyone's doing any research on Niagara, Brock University has to be a place that you come and visit.
We've been speaking with David Sharron, the head of the Archives and Special Collections at the James A. Gibson Library at Brock University. And if you would like to contribute, visit the website at exhibits.library.brocku.ca, and you should be able to find the link there. We'll be back in a moment on the COVID-19 Niagara update on The Source.